Hello, beautifuls. Last night we missed a little bit of information by not hitting the record button. So I wanted to come on this morning and just kind of go over a couple of things that led us into the teaching that we'll call part two. This is going to be part one. Yes. I am Theresa King, and I am a transformational life coach with a specialty in trauma recovery. And I'm also working on my dual certification in business and would graduate in December this year, 2019. So a little bit of housekeeping I wanted to share with you. That's why this is so important, really. A little bit of housekeeping, excuse me. Is I consider this a very sacred circle when we come together. And what is shared here is very sacred and important. And you never want to use names. You can certainly share stories and, oh my gosh, this happened, and oh my gosh, that happened. That's really cool. But leave the names off. Names are not important. And then also try to remember to only share a story that you'll hear today if it is attached to helping someone, right? Anything over and above that is just gossip, and it's not cool. So in a sacred circle, you really honor the person by leaving off their name, and you honor the story by only sharing it if you think it might help someone. I love that. So another thing that I wanted to go over with is my sense of humor. I have kind of a dry sense of humor. And like last night in the Q&A, somebody said that I was kind of a hard nose. I am. You know, my specialty is trauma recovery, which what that really means is we've had a trauma or six, and it created patterns and cycles in our being, our way of being, our way of thinking, our way of operating, all the way from the energy field outside of us. The energy field can get filled up with what I call blobs. The blobs are the things that happen, the incidents that happen. And the blobs can kind of keep us from connecting with the universe, source, God, the God of my understanding, creator, nature. They just kind of get in the way. And they can also keep the universe, God, the God of my understanding, creator, source, from getting to us, to the internal part of us. These blobs sit out here and kind of block the way. So I'm a blob remover. And just like myself, I had really right thinking. I had a crown on, might as well have, that said I'm really, really bright. If you would just do what I tell you to do, you'd be fine. And that's just not true. And when I realized that, I took that crown off and set it on the table. And today I extend that teaching to unscrew the head and go put it in the back closet and only work from a place of soul and source. Everything we do, let us take a sacred pause, a breath, especially in the heat of the moment. Go pee and pray. Do something to break up that normal reaction that sets us off that we normally do. Anything to break that up. Come back to the present moment and focus on the core essence of the person. I explain core essence in part two. So let's calm down, be more mindful, more conscious. Let's learn how to connect to source and to soul, and just change our lives. Change our lives without having to say a word to anyone. I love that. We don't have to talk to the hard people. I'll finish today with a teaching on that really quick that I left out last night as well. And I'm also going to send your ebook out today so you can follow along there. So I started out with the third step prayer, which I revised. I invite you to find something that trips your trigger and revise it so that it trips your trigger even more. These are just teachings and words and prayers, but we can make them our own. So I revised this. It's more than 100 years old. So it had a lot of, doubt and just kind of old language, and I changed it to fit me. So if you will, please bow your head, and I'll start with this very short third step prayer revised by Theresa. God, I offer myself to thee to do with me and be with me as thy will. Relieve me of the bondage of self so that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would serve of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. Amen. Thank you for doing that with me. The next story that I want to tell you is Sunday before last. I have been using the third step prayer for probably 15 years. Sunday before last, in my spiritual circle face to face, there were two men who shared the power of the third step prayer. And this is what I call messages from the God of my understanding. Those shares went from them and their voice to my soul all of a sudden after 15 years. And I knew in that moment that I wanted to make a commitment to myself. Yes, make commitments to yourself and do your best to keep them. I wanted to do the third step prayer every morning on my knees and every night before I retired to bed on my knees. Well, that's a big commitment. And with that, I'll tell you, that's what, 7, 8, 9 days. I'll tell you that I probably forgot 5 times. When you make a commitment to yourself, you probably will forget, and you probably, will want to beat yourself up. No beating ourselves up. Keep the bat in the closet. No longer necessary. We're going to love ourselves enough to go, okay, I'll start again today. And do that for 30 days. If we forget, start over. Do that for 30 days. If we forget, start over. Do it for 30 days. And at the end of 30 days, depending on how it felt to you, what it feels, if it feels good to you, keep doing it. Don't quit things that feel good. Don't quit disciplines, or as Virginia calls, disciplines, if they feel good, right? And do really get into, instead of an obligation to do that kind of attitude, consider it a loveagation. It's a great way to love yourself deeper and more, and in an extended, beautiful way. Little commitments to yourselves. And every one of these teachings, you can turn into little commitments to yourself. If it feels overwhelming, just start with one. Do it for 30 days, keep it going, add another. If they all feel good to you, do them. You know you better than anyone else, and you know what you can do and what you can handle. I do have a couple of gifts to give away, and we have a Did You Bring a Friend to the event gift we're going to give away. The first two are $120 value. They're private sessions with me. And then the last one is a $720 value. It's the 6-week, pretty well-known 360 TAP program, the intensive, where we get in and teach you how to pull forward from the cellular level the things that have held you back and hurt you, the traumas, the pissed offedness kind of things that want to take us out of the ball game. And so that's a 6-week intensive, 1-hour a week. The value is $720. So if you brought a friend, you must let me know your name and their name. That would go into a drawing. I know Melissa Nicole got 3 friends there, so hopefully you did the same or more, because that gift is waiting for you. Okay, I'm going to go straight into what some people call the woo-woo. I kind of made a commitment to myself not to use the word woo-woo. There are ancient teachings that are brought to us every single day that serve us really, really well. This is from Lee Harris, whom I follow and I reference in my ebook for you to follow and get involved with. He's a powerful teacher. And I can't remember where I was at sea. Kind of seemed like I was driving, but I don't feel that today. Like I don't know when I did this exercise, but it's huge and so appropriate for the holidays. So it has to do with a golden ball of light for our family and our extended family. So 5 years ago, even as close as 5 years ago, when someone mentioned a golden ball of light, I was like, oh, I just couldn't grasp the thought of thinking or giving time to the golden ball of light. The teaching here is to just be open and just to try things. You, when you're centered and connected with Source, are very safe to listen, to try things, to play with things, to keep them, incorporate them, learn from them, or toss them. I toss stuff all the time. I keep stuff all the time. Here's a little message that I want you to really, really hear right in the nick of time. I believe Source brings a person in front of me, or a post in front of me, or a meme in front of me, and it's like a whisper. The other day, there's this beautiful, very famous photographer who posted about how we dismiss everyday life. Like he was going to Walmart, there was a car parked beside him, baby was screaming, and he said, is our first thought, temper tantrum, uncontrollable child. So he said, when I went to visit with her and said, do you need help or something, he heard the story. Her husband was deployed, and that baby was sick with a double ear infection, and she was at Walmart trying to get her prescription and had no choice but to take the baby with her. So we don't know what we don't know. So with that story, I'll ask you to lay down judgment. I'll ask you to lay down criticism in your life. Make a commitment, lay it down. I'll ask you to lay down condemnation, because the truth is we don't know the story, right? So if someone says, I'm kind of a hard nose, you don't know the story behind me. You don't know that my coach literally had to hold my feet to the fire. And with that, I finally had breakthroughs. I had very strong patterns and cycles of really right thinking. And it took me forever to release that. Today, my philosophy is, I don't know shit. I'm open to all of y'all, all the time. Because what I know is that's a message from higher power coming to me. A post, a message, a person, an experience. You hear me? It's all a message that comes, if we process it beautifully and not resist it, it comes to us to teach us. And I love that. I love that feeling of being open. And I know I'm safe, and I know I can keep, or I know I can discard, right? Okay, here's the beautiful teaching. I kind of have to close my eyes and walk you through this. But as you prepare for the holiday season, I want you to see your immediate family as golden balls of light. And in that, I want you to call your immediate family forward. And all you're seeing are these beautiful golden balls of light. When that's done, you go to your extended family and you call them forward in beautiful golden balls of light. That's your extended family. And now you're going to call forward your parents, whether they're here or whether they've passed. You'll call both parents forward and you'll ask, which of you is the most dominant for me in my life? For me, my dad stepped forward. When my dad stepped forward, I asked the question then, what is it about you that triggers me? What is it about you that triggers me? And what I heard was really right thinking, my way or the highway, and mean-spirited, meaning my way or the highway meant, and he said to me, I will kill you, versus see you on drugs. So he had that just really controlled master manipulation demeanor. Okay, so that's the three things that I wrote down. And then I opened up again and said, which of you in my immediate or extended family triggers me? And 3 golden balls of light stepped forward. I knew exactly who they were. And I asked them, what is it about you that triggers me? Guess what? Mean-spirited, really right thinking, my way or the highway. And then I turned to ask myself the question, if you could change anything about your life's path, Theresa, what would it be? Really right thinking, my way or the highway, and mean-spirited. 20 years ago, I was mean-spirited. I knew no other way. I had no other tools. And I tell in part 2 kind of how I grew within those tools and carried them into adulthood. 20 years ago, I had just really right thinking. 20 years ago, it was my way or the highway. And I'm telling you today, if you'll do this exercise, you will find the keys, not the keys to change another person, the keys to change you so the other people no longer trigger you. That's big. And it don't make it hard. Don't spin off into trauma and drama and tell old stories. Just find the things and make commitments to yourself to stop that. Another way that I did stop that, I will tell you, is I got on my knees. I believe I told the story in part 2. And I asked the God of my understanding to help me. Please take this from me. And you can do that every single day. It's way more powerful on your knees. But just be honest and say, this I do not like about me. This does not serve me. Can I ask you in this moment to please take it from me? When I did that, it was quite dramatic for me. I made my way back to the car and I got relief on my knees. I made my way back to my car and took a hold of the steering wheel and was like, oh, I know for sure I have a God. And I never let go of that again. I never stopped having conversations with God. You guys, you don't have to go to buildings. You don't have to go places to get to God. You can go and be with the God of your understanding every single day. I use the God of my understanding before I make marketing pieces. I use the God of my understanding in prayer before I come to you, before I get on coaching calls. While I'm on coaching calls, I'm very open to those messages and those whispers I hear from my connection with the God of my understanding. Okay. The next part is on part 2. And I thank you so much. What a amazing and beautiful crowd. And the Q&A was off the charts fun. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for stepping forward. Thanks for asking the hard questions. I hope I helped you. And I would love to be of service to you. I do not sell. You know where to find me. And I offer lots and lots of complimentary conversations for you to get more personal, like a personal conversation. So hit me up. I'm that girl you can ask anything. Am I naughty? Slightly. A little bit. I'll see you next time. I love you big. Bye.